Welding. It's this incredible skill, fusing metal together with raw energy, creating the very backbone of our modern world. But that same power, that intense light, the crazy heat, the electrical force, it creates a battlefield of hidden dangers. So today we're going to build a shield, an impenetrable one, layer by layer, to protect welders from every single hazard of the arc. Okay, let's just start with a number that really sets the stage here. 562,000. That's how many workers in the US alone are at risk from the hazards of welding, cutting, and brazing. I mean, we're not talking about a small group of people. That is a workforce the size of a major city, and all of them face these risks every single day they go to work. And this quote, this is really the golden rule. It's the core principle from welding safety standards. And what it's really saying is that a perfect weld means absolutely nothing if it costs someone an injury. The job just isn't done until it's done safely. Think about it like this. Getting the weld right, that's one battle. But getting home in one piece, that's winning the war. So if we're going to build our defenses, we have to understand what we're up against. We need to look right into the power of that welding arc and really appreciate all the different hazards it's throwing at us all at once. Just look at this list. It is a serious lineup of dangers. You've got arc rays, this invisible force that can literally sunburn your eyes. You've got toxic fumes, an enemy you can't even see that attacks your lungs. Then, of course, the obvious stuff, molten metal, searing burns. But lurking behind all that is the silent killer electric shock and the huge potential for fires, explosions, even asphyxiation. It's a lot to deal with. All right, let's start building our protection, and we're going to start from the ground up. Before you even think about turning on a single piece of equipment, that first layer of safety is all about the environment itself. Your workspace is your foundation. Now, this might sound like basic common sense, right? But here's why it is so critical for a welder. Remember, when that helmet is down, your vision is seriously limited. You're basically looking at the entire world through a tiny, dark little window. So a stray cable or a tool on the floor that anyone else could just step over, that becomes a massive trip hazard for you. A clean floor is a safe floor, period. And it goes way beyond just being tidy. The whole area needs to be locked down. Flame-resistant screens, those protect everyone else nearby from those dangerous arc rays. Machinery guards have to be in place. Fire extinguishers need to be close enough to grab without thinking. And maybe the most important thing of all, you have to know, without a doubt, that your escape route is clear. Can you get out of there fast if something goes wrong? You need to know the answer is yes before you ever strike that arc. Okay, so the environment is secure. Now we move to the next layer, the armor you actually wear. This is your personal protective equipment, your PPE, and it is your last, most direct line of defense against everything that arc can throw at you. Let's start gearing up. First piece, the most iconic one. The helmet. And listen, it is so much more than just a shield for sparks. It's a radiation barrier. The intense UV rays from the arc can cause something called arc eye, which is basically a really painful sunburn on your eyeball. This helmet is completely non-negotiable. Next up, your hands. We're talking heavy, dry, flame-resistant leather gloves. They do 3 critical things for you. They protect you from the obvious heat and spatter, they protect you from cuts and scrapes, and, crucially, they act as an insulator against electric shock. You never, ever weld with wet or damaged gloves. And finally, protecting your body. Heavy, flame-resistant fabrics are an absolute must. Things like polyester will just melt and stick right to your skin, causing absolutely horrific burns. And notice that detail about cuffless pants worn over the boots? That's not a fashion statement. It's to stop hot sparks or drops of molten metal from getting trapped in a cuff and burning right through. And check this out. This table shows a really critical point. Your protection is not one size fits all. The filter lens inside your helmet has to be matched to the job you're doing. You can see right here, the higher the amperage of the process, the more intense the radiation and the darker that lens shade needs to be. Using a shade that's too light, it's like using SPF 10 sunscreen in the middle of the desert. You are going to get burned. So we've covered ourselves from the sparks and the radiation, the stuff you can see and feel. But what about the dangers you can't see? This next layer of protection is all about defending against the toxic fumes and gases that are created by every single weld. This right here, this is the enemy, the fume plume. It just looks like smoke, right? But it's not. It's actually a cloud of tiny, solid particles of metal, flex, coatings,
All of it has been vaporized by the heat and then cooled back into a solid in the air. This plume is where the concentration of all that hazardous stuff is at its absolute highest. So, how do you defend against this invisible cloud? Well, it's all about your posture and your positioning. It's a simple 3-step strategy. First, set up your work so that any natural airflow is carrying that plume away from you, not into your face. Second, and this is the big one, you have to consciously keep your head to the side, out of that rising column of fumes. And finally, you always use mechanical ventilation. And when we say ventilation, there are really 2 main types. You've got general ventilation, think a big fan or open doors, which is okay for clearing the air in the whole shop, but local exhaust ventilation is way, way more effective. Think of it like a vacuum cleaner hose that you position right at the weld. It sucks that fume plume away before it ever has a chance to get near your face. All right, let's talk about our next layer of defense. This one confronts 2 of the most powerful, most catastrophic risks in any shop: the incredible stored energy in compressed gas cylinders and that ever-present danger of a lethal electric shock. You know, it's so easy to forget, but a high-pressure gas cylinder is holding an insane amount of stored energy. Abusing one isn't just a bad idea, you're basically asking for a disaster. This list of nevers is completely non-negotiable. Using one as a roller can damage it, dropping it could snap the valve right off, an arc strike could weaken the metal wall, leading to a rupture. These rules exist for a very, very good reason. So, the mindset you have to have is this: treat every single cylinder with the respect you would give a bomb. That means they are always, always stored upright and changed securely so they cannot fall over. And when you open that valve, you do it slowly. You avoid that sudden, high-pressure shock to the whole system. Now for electricity. It's a fatal mistake to think that only high voltage is dangerous. A current passing through your body, even from a source under 80 volts, can absolutely be lethal. And the number one factor that makes it even riskier is moisture. Welding is hot work. You're going to sweat. If you're in a damp spot, your body's natural electrical resistance just plummets, which makes a fatal shock so much more likely. Staying dry is staying alive. Okay, we've covered the workspace, the personal armor, the invisible fumes, the high-energy sources, but every single piece of that equipment and all of those rules are completely useless without the final and, without a doubt, the most important layer of protection. And this is it. This is the heart of it all. The best helmet in the world can't help you if you don't know which lens to put in it. The best ventilation is worthless if you stick your head in the fumes anyway. Your training, your focus, your constant moment-to-moment awareness, that's what makes all the other layers of safety actually work. It's the master key that unlocks everything.
So, we'll end with this question. After all of it, the helmets, the gloves, the ventilation, the procedures, what is the one tool you absolutely cannot work safely without? Well, the answer isn't something you can buy. It's not something you can check out from a tool crib. Because the single most important tool for welding safety is the trained, focused, and vigilant person behind the mask. It's you.